Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Go ahead and drop us a like right now because it is the summer of Superman. And as a DC fan, I could not be more excited about this. If you've watched the show, if you've been here for any amount of time, you know how much I love DC Comics, how more into DC Comics I am than Marvel, and how long I have been waiting for what is hopefully going to be coming up in the next month or so, and that is a really good Superman movie. Okay, without getting into it, I was not a big fan of the DCEU. I don't think that's any. I don't think that's any secret. I don't think that's any surprise. I didn't go for the grim dark look for the DC universe. This is what I have been hoping for. This is what I wanted. This is what I was waiting for. The bright colors, the comic characters coming to life, stepping onto the big screen. I'm very excited about this. I can't wait for this. Now, what we have here is the Spin Master series of Superman movie figures. We have 3 out of the 6. There are 6 of this style. There are a lot of figures and figure sets that Spin Master has put out. Some are exclusive to Walmart, some are exclusive to Target, some can be found everywhere. But right now we're going to be looking at these. This is their core 6-inch line, individual figures. There are 6 of them. Like I said, we have 3 right here. There are 2 that are either sold out or just aren't available yet. I haven't figured it out. One of them being the one that I want the most, and that is Hawkgirl and Metamorpho. The 6th one I actually have. I don't have them in the lineup right here. They will be in this video, but they're going to be towards the end, and I'm going to tell you when that figure is going to pop up because it's a potential spoiler in case you haven't seen it yet. And if you don't like spoilers, I know I might be a little too cautious about this, but if you're somebody that's not into spoilers, I'm going to put it on its own towards the end. I'll let you know when it's coming up. I'll even put timestamps down below so you can see where the spoiler section is and where to jump to if you want to just avoid that. So, having said that, these first 3 that we're taking a look at is Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and of course, the Man of Steel himself, Superman, right here. We also have a Build-A-Figure with this, which is, I think it's like Robot number 4, which I believe is basically the movie version of Kellex. Like you can even see the 4 right there on his chest. A Build-A-Figure for Spin Master, I think that is very cool. Also something to remember, these are toys. These are children's toys. These are not like adult collectibles. These were basically like $10 each. But sometimes I like that. Sometimes I like just having a toy for the sake of having a toy. So we're not going to have the articulation. You can see that there's not really going to be any accessories. And we're not going to have the spot-on paint apps that we're used to with like a classified line or even like comparable Marvel Legends line. This is Spin Master. I can see Superman already has some paint slop on him. We'll take a look at that once we open him up. Now, one thing I do want to mention is I really like the packaging that they have right here. I'm not going to flip it around and show you the back because on the back it has the cross cell, which also has that potential spoiler figure, so I'm not going to show you that right now until the end. But I really like how the plastic bubble is like cut out like it's ice, like it's part of the Fortress of Solitude. I really like that. I really dig that. I really like the design that went into the packaging for this line. How you got soups up here flying in over the bubble wrap. You have the DC logo. You have like the old Superman and Action Comics in the back, Kal-El at the top. I really like, and then the sky with the Superman logo down here. I really like the effort and the artistic direction that they went into for the packaging right here. So we're going to look at these 3 plus the 4th, and we'll look at Hawkgirl and Metamorpho whenever I can get my hands on them because Hawkgirl is the one that I really want. Also, I believe these are 6-inch scale. They are 6-inch dead on. They're not going to be like the typical scale for like Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe Classified or something like that, like the 6 1/4 to 6.5 inch. I think these are going to cap off at basically 6 inches even. So let's take a look at which one are we going to start with. And I think we're actually going to start with Mr. Terrific right here. So, without further ado, let's rip this bubble open and let's take a look at what's inside. And let's take a look at the first wave of what I have of the Spin Master Superman series, Mr. Terrific. One of the things that I really like about the costume designs of these characters in the movie is that they've been modified a bit to suit the movie, to suit the world that these are going to exist in, to give them a little bit more of a realistic look, but they still have all of the trademarks of their comic costume. That, like, you can look at this and you know this is Mr. Terrific without any question. Right down to like the T across his face, the leather jacket, the fair play going up the arms of his jacket, and the like Footloose-esque Terrific across the back shoulders of his jacket right there. I really like that. The pants coming down here, everything being like two-toned, the black and white to match the look for the movie. I think this is a really, really good look for Mr. Terrific right here. The face sculpt, I don't think the likeness is horribly off from the actor whose name, I apologize, I can never remember. I really like what he can do, and after seeing what they did with him in X-Men First Class, it's really good seeing him get like a bigger role for a character like this. But the face sculpt, it's hard to tell the likeness because we have this black shiny T painted across his face, which is obviously, like, of course, part of his look, so I'm not faulting it for that. But as far as the rest of it goes, I think this looks fantastic. The only thing that I wish is that, like, on this side, they were able to space it so that fair and play are on the two different parts of the arm. But right here, just because of the spacing and you have the shoulder joint up here, they had to break it at the P, so it doesn't quite have that same look that this side has. But that's just a minor personal nitpick. We can get past that. Now, like I said, there's not a whole lot of articulation to these figures. Also, you'll notice that the hands on them, and this is true for all of them, are in this C-grip pose. They don't come with accessories, but other versions of these figures do come with accessories. Like, there is a version of Mr. Terrific that is in a 6-inch figure that is kind of like a Superpowers-esque figure, where if you squeeze his legs, his waist twists, and he's holding T-spheres in his hands, so that, like, when his waist twists, they sort of like bolos sort of fly out around him. So that if you had, I'm assuming, if you had that version of the figure, because the hands are the same, you could take the accessories out of the other versions of the figures and put it in these hands as well. Now, bringing it closer, on Mr. Terrific, I think the paint apps are fairly spot on, fairly clean, fairly sharp, especially with like the writing back here. Down towards the legs, the white gets a little thin down here, where you can start to see like the black of the mold starting to come through, and up here at the kneecaps. But really, that's my only issue with, oh, I even love the T-belt, I almost missed that. That's really my only issue with the paint apps for Terrific right here. Also, his shirt, his undershirt, and his jacket, this is all one piece, all one mold, so the jacket doesn't open up to get a better look at what he's wearing underneath. Now, having said that, let's take a look at the articulation. That the head will do a full 360 spin. He doesn't look up very well. He doesn't look down very well. There's virtually no side to side. The arms will do a full 360 spin, no butterfly joint, but there is a shoulder that will come up to there. We have a single hinge elbow that comes up a little bit past 90. It is a hinge and swivel. There is nothing in the wrists. The hands are locked into this position. There is nothing in the waist. There's no twist, there's no crunch, there's no nothing. This is all one solid piece. They went for sculpt over, they went for form over function. Now the legs will come up to there, just under 90. They go back, not at all, but they come out to the side very well, and you can see that they have that ball jointed hinge right there. a throwback, but they come out to the side very well. There is a single joint knee that comes up to 90, and it is also a hinge and swivel right there. Now, at first I thought there might be a boot cut because you can see the offset right here where what would be his boots come up and his pants tuck into them, but there is no boot cut. There is nothing there. There is nothing in the ankles, no rock, no side to side, no nothing. We just have this guy right here. Now, Terrific does not come with any accessories, but for the Build-A-Figure piece, what he does come with for robot number 4 is the right arm, socketed right there, hinge and swivel at the elbow. Once again, nothing in the wrist. Up next, we're going to take a look at Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and I have to admit, out of all of the new characters in the movie, this is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. Just what we saw in the teaser, what we've seen in the trailer, I just have a feeling he's going to live up to like his early comic persona, that he's going to be so arrogant and so cocky and so full of himself and having the power ring. He's probably so used to being the big kid on the block that when Superman shows up, it's just going to like steal all of his thunder, knock the wind out of him. And I'm so looking forward to it. I mean, it's Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner. How great is this going to be? So let's open him up and let's take a look at him. You know, for being a $10 figure, I have to admit, the Nathan Fillion likeness isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good, especially when you look at it from like the side angles right here. It is worlds better than what I was expecting for this quality of a figure. Now, yes, it's very shiny because it is basically just bare plastic. I'll bet if we got some dull coat and brushed it across here and took that shine down, that the likeness would look even better. The eyes on mine are fairly straight, which I appreciate. And let's just take a moment and look at this haircut. Look at the bowl, the mighty bowl on Guy. Not since the mullet have we seen a power haircut like this. And he even has a little bit of like this cocky smirk going on, like he knows, or at least thinks, he's the strongest guy in the room. And this is so good. This is so good. Now, looking at the costume right here, it is a large deviation from his Green Lantern outfit. Yes, he has the jacket, but it's not really the type of jacket that he typically wears. There's a lot more white going on here than there is blacks or greens. That is no doubt on purpose, so that once he gets out of this and gets into his more traditional Green Lantern suit, which I don't doubt is going to happen, it will be a very noticeable change. We can see his Green Lantern belt buckle right here. We can see his Justice Gang logo right here, which of course, you know, that tells us Max Lord is going to be pulling the strings. I cannot wait to see a more accurate representation of Max Lord on the big screen. Wonder Woman 84, you let me down. But I do like the greens that they do have in here. I do like the shading of green that they use. I'm a little upset that the Green Lantern logo on his shoulder right here is black instead of green. I don't remember if it's like that in the movie or if this was a toy aesthetic choice, but I would have really liked to have seen the lantern in green, sort of matching, or not sort of, but matching the green that's down here on his wrist bracers. Once again, we have his boots coming up, pants tucked in, looks really good. I like the shape of the boots. I like the design of the boots. I like how the boots are wrinkled, giving it like that worn leather look. And the toes turning up, I like that. One thing that I forgot to point out on Mr. Terrific is that the feet are angled so that they can get a, so that they can get a flat, wide stance whenever they're standing up. Of course, Guy doesn't want to seem to cooperate right now, but there you go. So I like how they shape the ankles, shape the feet to stand flat on the ground, the tabletop, whatever you're putting it on. And of course, he has his ring right here. Not a whole lot of noticeable detail, and as a matter of fact, you can see where the paint missed a little bit, and part of the ring is still like flesh tone colored right there. But, and I don't mean to keep using this as an excuse, it's a $10 kid's toy. So, like, it's not going to be at the level of like Marvel Legends, but I do like the green right in there, making it stand out. This makes me wish that the wrists did have swivel in them, if nothing else. So then you could like get like these great power ring poses, but they're not going to be moving much past that. Also, you can see once again, we have C-clamp hands. I don't think there's another version of Green Lantern yet with accessories. I might be wrong about that, but I don't remember seeing one. But I'm sure there are going to be accessories coming out, or accessories that are already out that we could put into his hands. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at, oh, and one other thing. Just like Mr. Terrific, the jacket and the undershirt are all one piece. It's one mold, so we can't open the jacket up to take a look at what he has on underneath. Now let's take a look at the articulation, that the head does a full 360, just like Terrific. He doesn't really look up, he doesn't really look down. There's not a whole lot, if any, side to side. Arms will do a full 360, no butterfly joint. Arms will come up, not nearly as far as Terrific's, but I think his arms and his coat are a little bulkier than what Terrific's were. Single jointed elbow that comes up just under 90, but we do have that hinge and swivel. Let's get his arms up out of the way. Nothing at the waist, just like Terrific. Legs will come forward just to there. Legs will go back, not really, like that's about it, but they do come up to the side very well, straight out to the side, straight out to 90, and you can turn them out like that. No thigh cut, single jointed knees that come up to just, well, about 90, hinge and swivel at the knee, no boot cut, no ankle articulation. But one thing I did want to show you, because I was wondering about this myself, that if we bring up Guy and we bring up Terrific, the sculpts for the torsos and the jackets are not the same. You can see that Terrific's is closed more, Guy's is open more. You can see his Justice Gang logo much more clearer than you can with Terrific. So these are two different body sculpts. Now, just like with Terrific, let's stand you up here, Guy. Just like with Terrific, we got a piece for robot number 4. It is the left arm, just like before. Hinge and swivel at the elbow and shoulder socket. And now that brings us to the man of the hour himself, the Man of Steel, Superman. Let's get him open. Let's not even like waste any words. Let's just get him open and let's take a look at what Cal has going on. And here he is, the Man of Steel, Superman himself. And I am so excited to see this movie. I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about the costume with all of the texturing and what looks like padding, but I'm guessing like maybe those are armor bits right there. I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me thinks or feels that the costume might be a little too over-engineered. I like the shape of it. I like this bulk. I like this squared off look that he has. It's a very powerful stance. It's a very commanding stance, but like, with this in the shoulders and up here across the top of the shoulders, I'm not sure how I feel about all of this. Once I see the movie and once I see it in action, I'll have a better opinion of it. But right now, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I do absolutely love that they're using the Kingdom Come S right here. I like that they're playing into that, like it's a Kryptonian symbol. It's like the symbol of the House of L. It's not an S, and we just interpreted it as an S. I really like that. And I won't be surprised if in future movies, moving down the line, that the logo changes and it becomes more S-shaped. Like they might bring this bit up to close off the S and make it just a little bit more to that more traditional look. But for right now, I really, really dig this. And I like that they went back to this iconic design. Yes, with the red trunks, the yellow belt, the bright red boots, just all of the color just popping. But the blue isn't so blue that it's obnoxiously blue and just like jumps out and says, wow, here I am. I really like the look that they have going on as far as the color palette and everything goes. And check this out. They put the S on the back of the cape, which I love. I didn't think the figure would have it, but they did. It's like a little glue-on piece right there. It's not etched into the cloth goods cape, but they did put the S on the back right here. Now, as far as the paint apps go, unfortunately, Clark's are the most egregious. Let's move his hands back, and you can take a look down here at the trunks, and this is what I mean, that you can see where the paint has missed the rim right there, the edge of the trunks a little bit. You can see where the red is giving way to the dark blue, especially in the joints right there. If we lift up, you can see that the red is fading and there's a little bit of a paint miss right there. But the cape's going to be covering this, so I'm not horribly concerned about this. But this is really where like the majority of the flaws in the paint apps come from the entire wave that I have right here. Now the cape is buckled in 3 places. That we have the cape slotted in right here at the top of his shoulders, and when I lifted it up, you may have noticed that it's also slotted in here at the base of his neck. So it's in there fairly secure, rather than just being like tied around his neck or a clip that goes around his neck. But I wouldn't tug on it too much, and I would worry, especially with these being like kids' toys, that eventually a kid is going to like be flying him around. Look at the flap of the cape. Look at the flap of the cape. But a kid is going to be flying him around and eventually pull it out. Also, he has the C grips that all of the other figures in the wave have. Now, in the action Superman, I don't know what they're calling them right now, but the one where he squeezes the legs and he does an action, his torso twists and he does sort of like a punch. And he has punch effects on his hands. It would be really cool if those will fit on this version of Superman as well. Now, let's take a look at the articulation. And honestly, it's going to be pretty much what we've seen in the past 2 figures, that the head will do a full 360 spin. Oh, wait, first of all, I forgot to take a look at the Corn Sweat, that last name, likeness. And I think this is really good. I think this is spot on. I think this looks real good compared to the actor. Like I keep saying, especially for being a $10 figure, I think this looks great. The eyes are blue, staring forward. I wish they would have brought the S curl down on his forehead a little bit more, but that's just a nitpick. That's just me. I like the flow of the hair that he has going on right here. You can see a little bit of a paint miss right there where you can see like the flesh tone paint coming through, and a little bit of slop right here at the seam line. I'm sorry, I keep bumping the camera at the seam line, but looking straight on, I think this is a really good likeness. Now, as you saw, the head, full 360 spin. Unfortunately, he doesn't look up. He's Superman. He's a flyer. He doesn't look up. I'm kind of bummed about that. He doesn't look down. No head tilt side to side. Arms will do a full 360 spin. No butterfly joint. Arms will come up to just over 90. Single joint elbow. Whoop. That will come up past 90, hinge and swivel at the elbow, nothing at the wrists. For some reason, the arms bow in a little bit, if you take a look at that. Nothing at the waist, solid piece, going for form over function. Legs come forward only about that far. Legs go back, not a whole lot, but they do come right out to the side at 90 like all of the other ones, and you can see that ball joint hinge right in there. No thigh cut, no boot cut, single jointed knees that come up to 90, hinge and swivel at the knee, nothing at the ankles. And as far as accessories, no accessories, but he does come, whoop, stand up, Clark, stand up, there we go. But as far as robot parts go, we have the torso and the head. Once again, cloth goods cape. I really like it. This is a nice, heavy, thick material. You can see that it's not translucent. You're not going to be catching light through it. Same even with the red right here. Nice heavy capes that hang very well. Once again, pegged in at the shoulders, pegged in at the back of him. And you can see the ball joint right here where he'll connect with his lower half and the sockets for his arms. There is no articulation in the head. I guess that thin neck was a little too narrow for them to put any kind of articulation on something like this, but the head does not move at all. Now, having seen these 3, this is your warning. The next figure is the potential spoiler. Like I said, timestamp on the time bar below, so you can skip over the spoiler if you want to and just get to the end. In that time section, that's the only time you'll see the spoiler figure in this video. And here she is, the potential spoiler, the engineer. And the only reason I say she's a spoiler is because I don't think she's actually shown up, at least not as the engineer, in the trailers yet, or even in the teaser. I don't think she has, so that's why we singled her out. Once again, we have this great packaging that looks like the Fortress of Solitude, the ice crystals right here. She has her robot number 4 leg right there. Now, flipping it around to the back, whoops, we can take a look at it now that we have the instructions on how to put our collect-to-build figure together. We also have the cross-sell for all of the figures. Superman, Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern, we've already taken a look at. The engineer that we have right here. Metamorpho and Hawkgirl. Like I said, they're either sold out, which I don't think that's what happened, or they're just not available yet. That's what I'm thinking, because Hawkgirl is the one that I've been looking for. Hawkgirl is the one that I've been waiting for. She's the one that I really want out of this line. So, without further ado, let's open this package up and let's take a look at the engineer. Here she is, the engineer, and once again, I think we have a pretty good likeness right here. Now, just like with Green Lantern, there is a lot of shine to her face right here, but once again, if we hit that with some dull coat, I'll bet we could take that down and our face sculpt would look even better. Now, I do like that the eyes are looking forward. I really appreciate that. And I love these dreads, these cornrows, not dreads. I love these cornrows that she has going right here. These braids just pulled tight to the scalp. And they are very rubbery, very flexible, so they'll get out of the way whenever you're turning the head. Now, as far as paint apps goes, there's not a whole lot of paint apps to this figure. The body looks like it was just molded in this sort of like shiny, metallic, silvery, gray look right here. I believe the hands were just painted on over top of this because you can kind of see it coming through a little bit on the insides and at the fingertips right there. But other than that, like, there's not a whole lot of paint apps. You have it down here in the hands, you have it on the face. Like I said, eyes looking forward. They did a really good job with the eyes. You also got a little two-toning right here for the hair where the sides are shaved in. Oh, there's a little bit of a nick at the top of my ear where you can see this color coming through a little bit. And once again, we have the C-clamp hands for holding any accessories that we might get with other figures. Now, let's take a look at the articulation. That the head will do a full 360 spin. And like I said, you can see those braids just getting out of the way. Looking up, not really. Looking down, not really. No real tilt side to side. Arms, full 360. No butterfly joint. Arms will come up well past 90, just like Mr. Terrific. Single jointed elbows that bring the arm up to 90. Hinge and swivel. Nothing going on at the wrists. Nothing going on at the waist. Legs come forward that far. Probably one of the best out of the wave so far. Legs go back. Not really. But they come up to 90 very well. And you can see that hinge socket right there coming forward. No thigh cut, no boot cut. Single hinge at the knee. Hinge and swivel at the knee. Legs, or feet rather, bent in for standing position. And right here in the torso, I really like the detail. Like, for being this type of figure, having this amount of detail in the sculpt, I really appreciate that. Down here on the thighs as well, you can see the wrinkle of the material so that you know this is a uniform and not just like a skin-tight bodysuit. I dig that. I really like that. Even on the back right here, we have some detail like coming down the middle of her back where these smooth pieces part. This is a really cool looking outfit. This is a really unique looking outfit. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this on the big screen. Now, one thing that I noticed is that the right arm comes in and tucks tighter in than the left arm does. I don't know if that is because the sculpt is different from side to side, or if that's just my figure that her arm won't close in all the way, or am I hallucinating that? No, this one definitely comes in tighter than that one. Now, once again, no accessories. Let's set her down. And what she does come with is our robot's left leg. We have single jointed knee. The hinge and swivel is above the kneecap for the robot rather than being below. I'm guessing that maybe this material was too thin to put the joint there, so they were able to hide it in the armor of like the thigh right here. And then we have our hip socket that we do have articulation there, and it will swivel so he can kick some butt. Okay, all of them lined up and putting the tape measure to them, we can see that the engineer is 5 3/4. Mr. Terrific is 5 7/8. Superman is 6 inches, and Green Lantern is 5 7/8. So Soups is the tallest one out of all of them, which I appreciate, and the size difference between them all varies. Okay, now that the spoiler section is done, let's put the tape measure to them and see how they measure up. That Mr. Terrific is 5 7/8. Superman is 6 inches tall, and Green Lantern is approximately 5 7/8 as well. So Superman is the tallest, which is, I dig that. I appreciate that. I think he is like, what is he like? David Cornsweat is like, what, 5 or 6'5" in real life? So he is a tall guy. And now for size comparison, here they are beside, hey, does anybody remember these existed? The Hasbro core figures from the Snake Eyes Origins line that were at the 6-inch scale, not the classified figures. So 6-inch scale, 6-inch, 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 6-inch. Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Here they are beside the DC Icons Dead Man, and I believe Cassandra Sandsmark Wonder Girl over here is from the Mattel Multiverse line. Here they are beside Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Knights of the Old Republic Darth Revan and Darth Nihilus. Here they are beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Blade and Doctor Doom. Here they are beside McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Donna Troy Wonder Girl and Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Here they are beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. And finally, here they are beside Airborne and Me from the G.I. Joe Steel Core. These are fun. These are not collector figures. These are not going to have super articulation. These are not going to have any accessories, but they're fun. And I'm glad I got them, because sometimes you just want toys. You don't want something that's going to, like, kill your wallet, something that you're so worried is going to break. Sometimes you just want something that you can bash 2 figures together. And that is 100% what these guys are. Now, like I said, there are a lot of other sets, a lot of other figures out there. There are some sets that, like, you can only get certain characters. Like, there is a 4-pack that is a Target exclusive that is out of stock right now, that I believe is the only way currently you can get Lex Luthor. There is another Superman set that comes with the kaiju, and his stomach pops open and slime comes out. So there's where you can get your villains for the set. And I mean, they're just fun. Like, they're not going to match up with your Marvel Legends in more ways than one. Like, that's a given. And I'm fine with that. I really am. I'm really looking forward to this movie. I'm really looking forward to what Mattel is going to be bringing out next year. And I'm probably going to be getting more of the Spin Master figures. I am 100% getting Hawkgirl as soon as I see her. She's the one that I want the most out of this line, and she's the one that I can't get my hands on. I need Hawkgirl, and I still need Metamorpho, and then we can complete our, robot number 4? They don't even give him a name on the packaging. I think he's just number 4. To me, he's Kellex, because I think he's the one that is basically running the fortress when Clark's not around. The C-grip hands are a little annoying. That's more of a personal nitpick, especially after you're used to having, like, wrist swivel. That is one point of articulation that I wish the figures did have, would be wrist swivel, especially for Green Lantern, but I'm not going to let that, like, ruin my day, because when it's all said and done, like I said at the beginning of this, I just had fun with them. DC is calling it the summer of Superman, but I really feel like it's also going to be the summer of Spin Master, because they're really jumping in with the movie licenses that they have. They are jumping in with Superman. They are jumping in with How to Train Your Dragon that we took a look at on Sunday on Show and Tell. Also, there is, I believe it's a 6-inch retro line from Spin Master that's going to be coming out for the Donner Superman movies. I'm very excited about that. I know that's very much like a niche audience for something like that, but I'm after getting these, if they are 6-inch, I am definitely going to be jumping in on that set as well, because hey, when it's all said and done, having fun is what this hobby is all about. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below if you have something to say about what we talked about today. I love you all for making it to the end of the video, and if you like what we do here and want to help the channel grow, please remember that you can by becoming a member for $1 a month, either through YouTube memberships or by becoming a monthly subscriber to my Ko-fi page. As a member, you'll have early access to all of our videos, access to a members-only Discord, and members-only videos every month. This month, we take a look at the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Darth Revan, and he's awesome. Please remember, everyone, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.